So when you were 11 years old, your parents brought you to the Budapest Music Festival, where you first saw arguably one of the most important Hungarian conductors in recent times, Sir George Solti. Was that the moment that you decide this is something I really want to do?
It was a rehearsal of the Budapest Festival Orchestra, and yes, I was listening to the recording of the great masters of the Hungarian generation of conductors. I mean, not just Solti, but also there is Ormandy Széll, Fricsay Reiner. They were all Hungarians and they were all big conductors, but none of them were alive when I was that age. And when I was young, I wanted to be a bus driver.
Because it's also called conductors, right? Bus conductors.
Interesting story. When I got my first position of my life in Manchester, that fellowship, I moved to Manchester and I went to the bank and I wanted to open a bank account. And they were like, so what do you do? and I said, I'm a conductor. And they were like, oh really? Nice. So which train company? So yeah, it's true. The conductor can mean many different things, especially in this language. But conducting means driving. Yes. Conduit. So yes, I like driving. I like driving. Not the bus. I have a car that is almost as big as a bus. Yeah. But I like driving, and that was my dream when I was young to drive a bus. So conducting is not too far from that. And by the time I was 11, I mean, since the age of 6, I had to enroll in learning solfege because of the music school system, and because of I started to learn solfege. I learned solfege from a young lady who was fresh out of the music academy, who was a flutist. And so she asked me if I wanted to play the flute as well. I said, why not? So at the age of 6, 7, I started to play the flute as well. And that became my main instrument. So even though I played folk violin, and later on I switched folk violin to classical violin, I was never a good violinist because I always I didn't study the violin like my daughter, you know, the proper way. I studied the violin in a folk way, so I could never really straighten my bow technique, or I was an okay violinist, but I was never a great violinist. I think I was a good flutist, or I'm a
you
good
definitely
flutist.
I don't play.
And so I played the violin, I played the flute, I studied. I was composing.
Yes.
From time to time, not seriously, but I was composing. So I was quite multi-sided in terms of music. But when I went to that rehearsal, I felt that person, he was really amazing. I mean, I remember him. That is not why I wanted to become a conductor, but he was yelling at the second violin player, and so he had a temper, and he even made, I think, the second violinist cry, as I remember. But that was not why I wanted to be a conductor. What I found really admiring is I was able to sit next to one of the violins, and he was really connecting all those elements of music that I was learning, the strings, the winds, the work of the composer. So he was incorporating all the things I have been learning. So I felt that the thing that he's doing is so comprehensive that this would be really something that I would like to do. Also, I like dealing with people. I like talking to people, contacting people, unifying people. So that element of also that psychological element was also quite appealing for me. So yes, I think that was a very decisive moment when I remember that quite firmly, and from that onwards I couldn't conduct straight away because I was 11, but I consciously worked towards being a conductor. I don't feel that I would be a good composer. I don't like to work for the future. I like to work for the present.
And you actually started. It doesn't exist anymore, but you actually started a kind of youth orchestra in Budapest, the Budapest Youth Festival Orchestra, is it?
And it was called the Budapest Youth Symphony Orchestra. I started it with a really pretty girl I met at the music school. I was 16, she was 17, she was also a flutist, and we were very good friends, and we started to date. She's my wife, by the way. Noemi, yes. And we started to do this orchestra together because she also felt this idea really appealing, that we can build something out of our fellow musicians and colleagues. And at that time in Budapest there was no independent organization, institute independent youth organization for orchestras. So, and it was a big project because we did everything from fundraising for copying and sorting the music, calling the people. I mean, we had to call 300 people in order to get 60.
300?
Of course. I mean, we had to call 300 people at least in order to have 60 musicians who were there, on the rehearsal.
And in the time you probably didn't have the telephone, or
it was like a telephone with a wire, and our angry parents who had to pay the phone bills afterwards, obviously.